Hey, football fans, welcome back to another episode of Lions Latest, the show where we gather around and talk about the greatest team in the NFL, the Detroit Lions. I'm your host, Bryan Hanes, and we have some new discussions to talk about and some big news going into week two. So let's just jump straight into the video. Starting off, we are talking about contract negotiations with Hutchinson and how those are going, slash, how it's going to look for us. So quickly, let's just look at it. There have been positive discussions so far occurring, but no deal has been reached before the season opener happened back on September 7th. The negotiations are complicated by the booming market for elite edge rushers at the moment, with Hutchinson seeking a significant top tier contract to make him one of the most highest paid non QB players at his position. So what the deal is expected eventually, uh, or while the deal is expected eventually, I think the Lions and all Lions fans know that this is one of the guys we're not just going to pass up on. The timeline remains very uncertain. Hutchinson has expressed the desire to let his representatives handle the business aspects of the NFL, allowing him to focus on the game. So, what that basically means is it's hands off for him. He plays the game. He doesn't worry about any of this business side of the whole thing. He lets his guys handle that. He goes and records sacks and gets paid. That's his whole thing. Which I mean, I can respect because if you are just letting the business side handle it, then you're not going to put your own personal bias in the matter. You're going to get the best deal for you, while at the same time you can just focus on the game. Sure, totally understand. But from the other point of view, it's like you're in the discussion, you're in the room for the discussion. You know what's going down. You're more involved in your own deal. But I can see why he would want to stick to this, especially coming off of an injury. He's going 100% into the game, and I can respect that. So talks began in late August/early September with a deal not expected before the season start, which didn't end up happening. The market for top pass rushers is rapidly increasing, with recent deals setting new benchmarks, influencing potential factors and numbers for Hutchinson's deal. So the big one that we obviously have heard about is Micah Parsons. His most recent contract is a 4-year, $188 million deal with the Green Bay Packers, which includes $136 million guaranteed, making him the highest paid non-quarterback player in the NFL history. These numbers will only go up as other stars continue to get signed. So it's really a do we jump on it now and do it quickly, or do we wait and see? I think we just jump on it as soon as possible. The numbers will only continue to go up. The Lions need to manage their salary cap while ensuring that they keep their core players. Like we know, Jameson Williams just got a contract. It doesn't directly influence Hutchinson's contract, but since they're two separate deals for two separate players. However, the Williams deal, while positive for the team's offense, was finalized at the same time as Hutch working out his contract. So now there's less cap space. They're going to have to manage it a little differently. And while the defensive end still needs to agree to terms after positive conversations. So it's still going well. But could you imagine knowing that you have a bigger spot on the team and you see someone else get their contract before you? I know he's not involved with the talks, but still, I'd be like, all right, well, come on, guys. What are we doing here? What are we doing? As it stands, the Lions are projected to have over $9 million in effective cap space for 2026, according to Over the Cap. The Lions have already given up long-term extensions to guys like Jared Goff, St. Brown, Penei Sewell, and Aleem McNeil, and shorter extensions to guys like David Montgomery and Taylor Decker. So right now, it is going to be just making sure that we have enough to go around for Hutch, because if not, that is not going to be good for us. He is definitely one of our core players. That would be really bad. That would be like the Mavs letting go Luca or something like that. Just like a very how could you unexpected kind of trade, or just wave. I don't think it's going to happen. I see honestly Hutch retiring a Lion, or at least being on the team for the first 10 years of his career, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully they get it done shortly or soon so we can get some of that money saved and we have our guy for the next few years. I feel like he is really the last big name that we have to worry about signing until guys like Brian Branch get off their rookie deals. But that is just that. Let me know what you guys think about this. Do we need to hop on it as soon as possible? Is there any pro to waiting on this? And how much do you think he's going to end up getting after all is said and done? Let me know what you guys think. We're going to go to our second topic, where we are talking about two players that are currently missing from practice, which we are going to need against the Bears. So those two guys being Jack Campbell and Taylor Decker were seen missing practice for the last couple of days. Those returning to practice, however, include running back Sion Vaki, linebacker Trevor Nowalski, cornerback Terrion Arnold, who we know left the Packers game with a groin injury early, and he was spotted during practice doing individual drills, kind of getting worked back into it. That is huge. That is really good to see. I'm so glad that he is back, getting in motion, getting moving. That is what I like to see. However, Detroit's rushing attack is expected to be the backbone of the offense this season. Detroit has two solid backs, as we know, with Jahmyr Gibbs taking over the running back one position, while David Montgomery still in the mix as running back two. Sunday, they were getting whipped on the interior, we saw, and they became a check down Charlie offense, almost unwatchable. And that's partially due, well, not partially, mostly due to the O-line not clicking, having some miscommunications, guys running into each other, stuff like that if you go back and watch the tape. So having a guy like Taylor Decker missing from practice scares me. Skipper has been hurt and he's been missing stuff for the last week or so. I'm not sure if he's ready to go. We might need him to be ready to go in this case because we're going to need our full line for Chicago. It's the way the game's going to be. It's going to be such a grudge match between the two. I know we're going to need our full strength because any little mistake we give up, I know Ben Johnson's going to take advantage of it. Jack Campbell being gone is not a good sign. If Jack Campbell's gone, we're missing a huge part of our defensive communication, considering that the coaches just gave him that big trust that they had in him, letting him, relay defensive calls, make audibles on the field. We've given him a huge amount of responsibility, and him being gone now would be like a huge hole that we have just now kind of given up because we've put all this on to Jack Campbell. And also, it's odd to see Jack Campbell gone because I feel like he's never missing with anything. So that could be bad too. There's no current information on what kind of injury they could be suffering, but when it's Decker, I'm thinking maybe it's his left shoulder he was dealing with preseason. Jack Campbell, I'm not too sure. All I know is that we need these two guys back because they both do things so well that they are so integral on our team. Two different phases of the ball. But Jack Campbell, he's a run stopper. He can go force fumbles. He's a big guy. He's a big, fast linebacker. And then Taylor Decker, of course, that left tackle, great at pass protection, but he can get downfield and start laying down blocks for the runners if he needs to be. Both guys, very important in their two respective phases of the ball. So let's hopefully get them back before Chicago. I will keep you guys updated through the week as we hear more and more. But that's that. Let me know what you guys think. Super huge loss, or do we have guys to back them up that it won't matter that much? And if you have heard anything on these injuries that I haven't seen by the time this video comes out, make sure you let me know in the comments. I do appreciate everything you guys let me know. We're going to move to our third topic of the day, where we are talking about what the Lions want against the Bears. So Dan Campbell and a few of the other players were asked during the media time what they were kind of looking for going into week 2 after our loss to the Packers. And St. Brown took to social media quickly, letting fans know that when Ben Johnson walks onto Ford Field, everyone is going to boo him. He said this, and he seemed very locked in on his feelings when he said this. This is a no-hold-barred situation for the Lions, looking to stop Ben Johnson from playing out his whole villain comeback story kind of thing he's doing. But neither the Lions nor Johnson looked great without one another in week 1. What does this mean? The Detroit Lions and the Chicago Bears are coming off of different but equally disappointed losses, in my opinion. Detroit got dismantled by the Green Bay Packers, while the Bears collapsed in a depressing fashion at home versus the Vikings after holding an 11-point lead. Dan Campbell went on to say, Ben's my friend. He's always going to be my friend, but nothing about that's going to change. Lions coach Dan Campbell said that this week via the Detroit News. He said, we're going in, getting ready to play Chicago. We're going to win this game. We have to. End quote. Both clubs enter the week with the same mentality, let's be honest. They know it's kind of a we need to win because they both came off of super disappointing losses. And now this is the one where it's 2 0-1 teams. And this is, like I said, a grudge match type of game where the loser is going to have serious questions about what the rest of their season is going to look like just because it's the new head coach that came from our team. We're already division rivals. There's a lot going into this game. No one's going to feel sorry for us. This is going to be a quick turnaround here and get going for Sunday in Detroit, our first road game, said Ben Johnson on Monday after the loss. He said, we're going to turn the page here quickly. Johnson becomes the first head coach to quote-unquote return home in his first two games as a head coach since Sean McDermott in 2017. The Lions had top 5 total a top 5 total in scoring offense each season with Johnson as an offensive coordinator. In week 1, the club averaged 3.8 yards per play in Green Bay, the fewest yards slash play for Detroit in a game since week 6 of 2021 versus Cincinnati, where we had 3.7 prior to Johnson's tenure as play caller. So this is like, I can't stress it enough. Ben Johnson being here was a huge reason why we had so much success. But this is the game where it's really, is him being gone dismantling our entire offense? Or can our stars hold on to what they know and continue to play as a great unit? Can John Morton figure out what our strengths are quickly, or quicker than Ben Johnson can figure out the Bears' strengths, right? This is what it's going to be. Chicago flopped at home, allowing an 11-point fourth quarter lead to slip away in Ben Johnson's first game as the big head coach. The coach had some game management issues, starting with a wasted challenge and ending with a kickoff that failed to keep the Vikings from burning the 2-minute warning. The first time head coach found out where there was more to just play calling when you're in the big seat. And I think it was kind of a rude awakening for Ben Johnson, making some of these mistakes that it's like, crap, one or two can really add up and just ultimately sell you the game after you've been up. And I think he figured it out the hard way. I'm not going to say he won't continue to make those mistakes, but he definitely kind of figured out that there's a lot more going on than just playing calls off your sheet. And I think that's honestly going to help him going into this next week. So we're going to have to be ready and not expect any huge mistakes. The winner of Sunday's game can feel better about their standings for the rest of the season, though. Since 1990, clubs that start 1-1 have made the playoffs 41.6% of the time. The club that loses will have a very steep hill to climb, though, however. Teams that start 0-2 have made the postseason at a rate of only 12.2%. So this really is, guys, going to be a big, big game for us. And if the Lions lose, it's true we can still make it back. The Chiefs lost, the Chiefs lost a few games and ended up coming back, but it's not often that happens. So we're gonna have to play our hearts out. I still believe that the Lions can pull it out despite a bad week 1. Like I said, it was a lot of miscommunication issues, and those are easy to fix, especially when we got a guy like Dan Campbell at head coach. Let me know what you guys think about this one, though. What else are you looking for? Let me know if I missed anything. And lastly, we're just going to discuss a few comments, starting off with Eric Dorsey 556. I almost talked about his comment in that last segment, but he says, KC lost the first 3 games and won the Super Bowl. Let's hope the Lions turn this around. Yeah, that's absolutely goes into my last point. Even if we do lose, there's still a chance we can come back. Things need to kind of go in our favor, and we need to have a perfect rest of the season, but I still think it is very doable, and I still think that just where we are as a team right now, we can still make it happen. We just got to lock in and figure out how to play with each other in a new system. And I think that's all it takes. Thank you for your comment, Eric Dorsey 556. 21 Nixon Me 6 says, I think they're keeping Muhammad as a third defensive end and waiting for Hassanin to come back, but the O-line needs some work. They need to give Goff time to make openings for the run game. Za'Darius is now gone. So yeah, I think, keep waiting for Hassanin is going to be a good move. I think he's got such a high ceiling, and his potential to be fantastic is so great. We just need to let him develop for a few years. Obviously, the injury he took isn't helping him in any way. Pardon me. Bless me. It's not helping him in any ways. But he's still going to be around, and they're still waiting for him. So I think you have a point there. And then, the O-line needs work. They do need to let Goff get the play-action game going. But like I said, it was little stuff, miscommunications, bumping into each other. That is all stuff they can clean up so quickly going into next week, just in a couple of practices. So I'm not too worried about that. I think as the season goes, you're going to start to see a lot of the old team from last year start to poke out. We just need John Morton and the O-line to start clicking a lot better, but I feel like they will. I don't have any real worries about that. So don't freak out too soon, but thank you for your comment, Nixon Me 6. And finally, Superman24 says, another bargain bin injury-ridden player? That sounds like Holmes. Maybe Phillips and Davenport can compare notes from their hospital beds. That being said, why not go for it at this point? Yeah, and Superman, that's funny, and I did chuckle at it when I read it for the first time. But like you said, why not go for it at this point? At this point, it seems like that's just the plan for Brad Holmes. He's been asked by reporters if he will go and just grab a stud, and he says he will if the time is right. but I don't know when the time is right, honestly. He hasn't done it so far. We've been continuing to go for these guys that some of them I haven't even heard of until they pop up in news articles. But I have a feeling he just has a plan for somebody, right? If this is what he's been continuing to doing since we've started to get success and he's still doing it, he's got to have a plan, and you just got to continue to have faith at this point. If not, I don't know what to tell you. I just feel like this is what Brad Holmes does. And if it's either going to continue to work and he's going to continue to be all right, or this is going to be the last time we extend his contract here in Detroit. I don't know. We're just going to have to keep watching, though. If it's worked this thus far, let's keep going. But to your point, like, why? Why don't we just go grab someone we know is going to be great, even though we have to throw some more extra money his way? I guess we'll just have to wait and see. With that being said, we are out of time here today. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Lions Latest. If you made it to this point in the video, tell me what you want to see going into week 2 against the Bears. And what do you guys think about the Hutch contract negotiations? Is it going to get done sooner than later? Let me know. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell so you never miss a video here. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video.